The BMW X2 first appeared back in 2017 and it offered an SUV coupe style vehicle. Now this one's a little different. For a start, it's a facelift, it's got an M Sport kit, but this is the 25e, so it's a PHEV. Welcome to Planet Auto. Now it really boils down to, do you like coupe style SUVs or do you not? Yes, they're not quite as practical as, say, a standard SUV, but they do look damn cool. Now this retails for just under 47 grand. It's also got an M Sport kit and some rather impressive numbers. Now under the bonnet, essentially you have a BMW i8 engine, which is a 1.5 3-cylinder with an electric motor. Now that's a brake horsepower of around 220, so yeah, not quite as powerful as the i8. But it's still pretty peppy and pulls 0 to 60 in about 6.8. You'll also get 35 miles of pure electric range. And if this doesn't float your boat, you can even get an M35i. Now that's got some serious power. I think they've done really well with the front of this. It looks far more sporty, and yes, it doesn't have a controversial kidney grille, but it does have a kidney grille nonetheless. This is just funky. That's the thing about M Sport cars, they just look aggressive, but they should do because they've usually got the performance to back it up, and like I mentioned before, this is no different. Also the colour combination of this graphite grey and Estoril blue. You've also got things like LED lights, high beam assist, parking sensors, no front camera, but lots of safety. I am a fan of these arches. They just give it that rugged off-road look. 19-inch wheels, diamond cut, and a decent tyre as well, so it's comfortable. M Sport ident, power folding mirrors. And the thing about this car is it's just simple. Bits of satin, bits of chrome, and just sleek body lines. I do like this though. This undulating styling. Very M. And this is where you fill it with petrol. The one design cue that I think is really interesting is the location, the BMW badge here. I think it's exceptionally good looking from the back. You just look at these sculpted LED rear lenses, you're reminded we've got a 25e and it's xDrive, meaning it's all-wheel drive. And chrome tipped exhaust and a boot spoiler. We have parking sensors, but there is no reversing camera on our model. If you move down this side, this is where we charge it. Type 2 and home charge. Coupe looks, but the functionality of an SUV, meaning easy to get into. Keyless entry. Nice and easy to climb into. Decent headroom, decent legroom, and electric front seats, even with memory function too. Also, it's an interesting mix. Premium materials, styling, and well, pretty advanced tech. Heads-up display, and look, knobs, twiddly bits, and all types of things, so you can actually change things without having to go knee-deep into screens. I'm going to say it again, but it's what you've come to expect from BMW. It's comfortable, it's sporty, very clear and simple dials to read. On the left you've got your speedo, on the right you've got your rev counter. At the bottom of that you've got charge and e-power. The seats hold you well, they're very well finished, and as I mentioned, they're electric too. And if you pull up this little bar at the front, you can extend this so it can go the length of your legs. Not legs, thighs. I sound like a spider. Just look at all the blue stitching throughout this vehicle. It's unbelievable. And yes, you've got the M iconic colours here. It's just so well done. BMWs typically are. Soft touches, premium materials. Now you will find hard plastics. You don't expect to hear that in a BMW, but you will. Here on the door handle and just below that. You've got a nice padded area here for your arm. And it's a great driving position with this padded armrest. There's even a heated steering wheel down here. And look, adjustment, reach and rake. Decent side infotainment screen, as I mentioned, with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, satellite navigation. It'll also tell you bits about your electrics, your hybrids and all types of things, so you can work out what's going on with your vehicle. You've also got things like your concierge system too. And all easily controlled with a knob here and some shortcut buttons. Media dial here, and my word, yes, that is a CD player. Down here, dual zone climate control with shortcut buttons and heated seats as well. As for build quality, yep, the SUV is shaking. 2 cup holders, USBs, slidey doors, Ooh, we can disable traction control there. Don't think I'll be doing that. Sport mode, eco mode, comfort mode, you name it. You disable your parking sensors, and you've got a button for eDrive as well in case you just want to utilise electric. It is amazing how many different types of shifter there is in a BMW. I'm used to the shorter ones, but this is perfect for an SUV. Electronic handbrake, and also you can't forget the obligatory start-stop button here. And we do have a new addition on these as well, which is, I think they're called bad weather lights, and that's symbolised here by a dipped headlamp with a rain cloud. We've also got an auto dimming mirror and panoramic sunroof. Let's enter Aladdin's cave. Storage point for your smartphone. It's amazing how many things in a BMW try to catch me out. I nearly missed the power tailgate button here and the petrol cap release. Two important things that you may need to use. You've got mood lighting, you've got a banging sound system, and if you delve a little deeper into here, you'll find things like Amazon Alexa. Everywhere you look, a symbolism of M Sport. M, even snazzy M kick plates. Now that's a long door. Decent ride height. I'll just leap in here. Well, you can tell it's coupe style because my head is pretty close to the roof. If I sit right back, it does brush. But bear in mind, I'm 6'3", and I've also got this seat set for me at 6'3" in the front. Now, you have a recessed bit here and decent room in the footwell. I can get my feet under the seats. Not the tallest transmission tunnel either. Yeah, the biggest challenge is the headroom. I didn't expect that, to be honest. I'm quite surprised. Lots of premium materials, lovely finishes as well. Pull down armrest, cup holders, isofix points as well. Black roof, which does make it a little bit dark. And they're not the tallest windows either. But that's what you get with a coupe style vehicle. And also because of that sloping roof, that's what eliminates some of this headroom. So I suppose in future models it'd be nicer to have this seat a little lower, like maybe something like that. If you're not 6'3", it's perfectly fine. I do like this styling, especially with the addition of the mood lighting. And soft touch here. Nice padded armrest, electric windows, and decent door pocket too. In the centre, vents, USB-Cs, and one central light. It would have been nice to see some map lights in here, and airbags around the vehicle as well. I suppose the biggest takeaway from this is you could quite easily have 3 people in the back of here if they're not too tall. But ideally for shorter journeys. Now how do you open one of these? You push the badge in. It's also a power tailgate, so you've got a button on your key fob and there's a button on your door pocket as well. Now first thing you notice, polished metal. Now yes, this is actually for loading and there's a good reason for it because you've got a bit of a boot lip. But as you can see, it's a decent size. Extra storage underneath where you could fit, what's that? First aid kit. Also a Type 2 too. Strap here for supporting things, tethering hooks, and a little net here with the storage area. There's a 12-volt socket there. 40-20-40 folding seats and easily removable parcel shelf. You'll easily get your week shopping in there. Considering it's a coupe style, there is quite a bit of space. Yes, granted it's not going to be as big as, say, the standard SUV, but that's a trade-off for having something that looks this good. To drop the seats, you pull this here. Looks like they all have one of these pulls. Another pull here. It looks to me like you can actually adjust where the seat goes to as well. Now, okay, that's not much use for passengers, but it is if you need to increase space in the back. And also remember, you can bring the seat a little further forward as well. So that'll increase space in the back and it will also make this bench a lot more upright. Once the seats are dropped, you can see it increases space quite substantially. There is a bit of a gap here, but up to here is quite level. Now it doesn't lay entirely flat, but you still get a decent load in there. And yet another sci-fi BMW. Welcome aboard the BMW X2 25e. Now under the bonnet, we've got a rather interesting powertrain. 1.5 3-cylinder engine and an electric motor. Essentially, this is what you find in the BMW i8, except it's slightly more tuned. This has a combined brake horse of about 220, and it'll pull 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds as well. Because it's hybrid, you get about 35 miles of pure electric range. But if you decide to use that electric and use it for hybrid, well, your MPG, then it increases quite a bit. Now, the one thing you have to remember about a hybrid is, if you're not going to use your electric motor, or you've used most of your range, then you're only going to get what the vehicle will do as a combustion model, which is probably something around 50. You can probably see then there was a static caravan being delivered, so let's take Bottoms Lane instead. Not the widest road in the world. Let's see what driving mode we're in. Driving modes are down here. So you've got your xDrive button as well in case you want to run in pure electric as much as possible. So that was acceleration in comfort. When you put it in comfort, you do notice the difference. The vehicle feels more pliable. It's very comfortable, this vehicle. And you? What do you expect? It's BMW. Driving modes, you've got your eco modes, you've also got your comfort and your sport. And they do what they say in the tin. I mean, your eco will just make it, well, very economical. Comfort. Oh, I forgot what this 3-cylinder engine sounded like. I used to love it in the i8. Getting carried away. Yeah, comfort wise, it's a pleasurable experience for you and your passengers. Just eliminates any harshness in the suspension. Still feels well planted, but if you want something that's a little more engaging, well, engage sport and then plant your foot, and then you get the roar of the 3-cylinder as well. And it handles, because it's xDrive, it corners like it's on rails. Last night I went for a run with the Silverdale Motor Club, as I regularly do, and my friend has a rather nice restored Mini 1275 GT. It's lowered and it's quite heavily modified, and I kept up with him down the back lanes, and he drives a little like me, so you can imagine how fast we were going. But this, I mean, just look at that. Good brakes as well, discs all round, electronic handbrake. That 3-cylinder, I think it's one of my favourite BMW engines, to be honest. Over crest. On an A road, well, you're up to speed in next to no time. But at the other end of the scale, you can just put it in electric mode and crawl. It's so quiet, it's well refined in here, but it still gives you the sound of the 3-cylinder, which is exactly what I want. But it's only when it's under heavy load. Ooh, bit of tyre noise there and slidage. The gearbox is awesome. It's 6-speed, and if you drop a gear, make sure there's no hedge cutters. Oh, it's responsive, it really is. It will hold gears as well if you need it to. But the acceleration, the combination of that electric motor and the engine is very good. Turning circle, SUV size. As for the steering though, nice and light for manoeuvres, but when you get it on a back road, my word, it wakens up. Climbing hills, absolutely no problem. In all honesty, it handles more like a car. I was quite surprised. The general consensus last night was, how did the jelly mould handle? And I was like, well, it kept up with the Mini. And we're like, yes, I didn't actually expect that. It feels very well planted, but that's a combination of the electric batteries, which obviously add weight, and the all-wheel drive. Lots of safety on here as well. One thing we don't have is adaptive cruise control, but we've got the heads-up display, so it's easier to see your speed, etc. at a glance rather than looking down and seeing the clocks. Lane keep assist. What else have we got? Lane departure warning and AEB collision detection. Kept seeing that last night actually. Now you can see from the driving section I was having far too much fun, and that meant that I omitted some information that might be quite pertinent. For example, you can do about 80 miles an hour on pure electric alone. We were getting between 100 and 110 miles per gallon when running in hybrid mode, and that was going around Silverdale and that. If you take it on the motorway, it will drop, it's bound to. And dependent on how you drive, and obviously if you've got charge as well, that's going to differ. Now the X2 has been out a fair few years, so we're expecting a facelift, likely later this year or maybe early next year. It's strange not to have my co-host and co-driver. Now I've dropped down to 40 miles an hour. You can hear a little bit of tyre noise, but it's well insulated and it is a pleasure to drive, it really is. These comfortable bucket seats that hold you well, it's just good. In all honesty, they just get better and better. You can really tell when the electric motor kicks in. I mean, because you've got that 1.53 cylinder engine, I mean, yes, it's turbocharged, so it's more oomphy than it could be. When you add the electric motor, you can tell if it's got any type of, it's not lag per se, but it holds back, then the electric motor kicks in and eliminates that, and because of it, it's just such a fluid acceleration and motion. I mean, joining motorways is just ridiculously good fun. Nobody expects something like this to launch the way it does. And from say 30 to 70, it's pretty rapid. And kickdowns, it's just there, it's just progressive power. My dials tells me that I'm in sport, and also it tells me when I go into charge as well. So as soon as I back off, bar climbs into charge. I mean, there's a slight regen, but nothing to really write home about. And because there's no paddles, there's no regen setting or manual mode through the steering wheel, but you do have a manual mode on the box. Visibility, well, it's an SUV coupe, isn't it? So it's not going to be as good as, say, a normal SUV. Slim down windscreen and slim down side windows as well. And quite a chunky B-pillar, but in all honesty, you can still look over your shoulder and see things. It's essentially see your blind spot, but you do have blind spot detection as well. Just glides around these back roads. Now normally you'd think, would a 1.53 cylinder be enough to push a decent sized SUV? Well, bear in mind that you've also got the turbocharger and you've got an electric motor as well. One thing I need to add, because it's a hybrid, you can also portion off some of your electric range as well. So if you know you're going to hit a ULEZ zone, you can say, hey! Good brakes and good responses by Ben there. So yeah, you can save some battery for your ULEZ. That's always handy. 9 times out of 10 when you pull away, it will pull away in electric. It's only if you plant your foot that it decides it wants the engine as well. Too much fun. Excellent job, BMW.